Elvis Presley slammed his fist against the vocal booth glass at RCA Studio B in Nashville on March 14, 1971, his face red with frustration and embarrassment, screaming at recording engineer Tom Wilkes to destroy the tape of the last take immediately because he'd cracked on the high note in the bridge of It's Over so badly that his voice had broken into something raw and vulnerable and completely unprofessional, and there was no way in hell that mistake was ever seeing the light of day. But what Elvis didn't know was that Tom Wilkes had been recording professionally for 15 years and had worked with everyone from Roy Orbison to Patsy Cline. And in that mistake, in that moment when Elvis's voice cracked and broke and became achingly human instead of technically perfect, Tom had heard something more powerful than any polished performance could ever be. What happened in the next 27 minutes would create a standoff between the king of rock and roll and a sound engineer who believed that sometimes the most beautiful moments in music are the ones that happen by accident. And the decision Tom made that day to secretly keep that flawed take, despite Elvis's direct order to erase it, would remain hidden for 40 years until a chance discovery revealed why that crack in Elvis's voice mattered more than anyone realized at the time. But the most shocking thing was, Tom wasn't just preserving a recording. He was preserving the exact moment Elvis Presley stopped being a perfect performer and became a heartbroken human being. And that transformation would change everything about how people understood his music. The session had been scheduled for weeks. Elvis was recording material for a gospel album, something close to his heart, something that mattered beyond the commercial pressures of his movie soundtracks and Vegas performances. Gospel music was where Elvis felt most authentic, most connected to his roots, most like the kid from Tupelo who'd sung in church before the world knew his name.
The safe was behind a mirror at Elvis Presley's private dressing room at the International Hotel in Las Vegas. He'd walked past that mirror 1,000 times without knowing what was hidden behind it. But on the night of July 15, 1973, the mirror fell, just crashed off the wall while Elvis was changing after his midnight show, and there it was, a small wall safe built into the concrete with a combination lock. Elvis stared at it for a long moment, his heart pounding. This was his dressing room, his private space. Why was there a safe he'd never been told about? And more importantly, who else knew it was there? Act 1. The Discovery. Elvis stood alone in the dressing room, still wearing his sweat-soaked jumpsuit, staring at the exposed safe. The fallen mirror lay shattered on the carpet. No one else had heard it fall. The walls were soundproofed, and everyone had already left for the hotel bar or their rooms. He reached out and touched the dial. Cool metal, professional installation. This wasn't something recent. This safe had been here for years, hidden deliberately behind that mirror. Elvis's mind raced. He'd been performing at the International Hotel twice a year since 1969. 4 years, 8 residencies, and there'd been a hidden safe in his dressing room the entire time? His hands trembled as he tried the dial. It was locked, of course. He tried a few obvious combinations, his birthday, Lisa Marie's birthday, his mother's birthday. Nothing worked. Then he noticed something. A small piece of paper wedged into the frame where the mirror had been mounted. He pulled it out carefully. It was yellowed, old, and had 4 numbers written in pencil. 8, 16, 35, 77. Elvis's breath caught. August 16th, 1935. His birth date. But why 77? That was 4 years into the future. What did that mean? With shaking hands, he spun the dial. 8, 16, 35, 77. Click. The safe door swung open. Inside was a single manila folder, thick with papers. Elvis pulled it out and sat down heavily in his makeup chair. The label on the folder made his stomach drop. Presley, Elvis A., confidential, property of T.A. Parker. Colonel Parker's handwriting, Colonel's folder, in a hidden safe in Elvis's own dressing room. Elvis opened the folder. The first document inside was a contract, but not one he'd ever seen before. It was dated 1956, the year he'd signed with Colonel, and it laid out terms that were completely different from what Elvis thought he'd agreed to. According to this contract, Colonel didn't just manage Elvis's career. Colonel owned it. Every decision, every performance, every dollar, Colonel had final authority. Elvis's signature was at the bottom, along with witnesses he didn't recognize. But Elvis didn't remember signing this. He remembered signing a management contract, yes, but not this, not something that gave Colonel complete control. His hands were shaking so badly he almost dropped the papers as he kept reading. But that contract was just the beginning, because what Elvis found on the next page would reveal that Colonel Parker hadn't just deceived him about business. Colonel had been planning something far more sinister from the very start. The second document was a memo dated 1957, handwritten by Colonel, apparently to himself. Note to self: EP's value peaks at age 40 to 42. After that, age will diminish appeal. Current life insurance policies total $5 million, need to increase to $20 million by 1970. Beneficiary structure ensures estate control passes through management company in the event of death. Legacy planning essential. Dead Elvis more profitable than aging Elvis. Maintain health concerns through controlled prescription access. Dr. Nick cooperative. Elvis read it 3 times. His vision blurred. The words swam on the page, but their meaning was crystal clear. Colonel had been planning for his death since 1957, planning for it, preparing for it, and maybe even arranging for it to happen at the right time. The memo was 26 years old, but it described exactly what was happening now. Elvis was 38 years old, close to Colonel's peak value window. His health was declining, largely because of the medications Dr. Nick prescribed. Medications Colonel insisted he take to manage the pressure of performing. But what if the pills weren't keeping him healthy? What if they were doing the opposite? Elvis stood up, the folder clutched to his chest, and walked to the dressing room door. He looked out into the empty hallway. The hotel was quiet. It was nearly 3 a.m. Everyone was asleep. He went back to the safe and looked inside again. There was something else in there, a small black book, like an address book. He pulled it out and opened it. It was a ledger, names and numbers, dates and payments, and as Elvis read through it, he realized he was looking at a record of bribes. Joe Esposito, $2,000 a month, security reports. Lamar Fike, $1,500 a month, schedule monitoring. Dr. George Nicopolis, $5,000 a month, medical compliance. Red West, $1,000 a month, loyalty maintenance. The list went on, dozens of names. People Elvis trusted, people he thought were his friends, people who were on Colonel's payroll, reporting back, keeping Elvis controlled and monitored. But even some of the names surprised him. Jerry Schilling, only $500 a month, but still there. Sonny West, $1,200 a month. These were men he'd known for years, men who'd been by his side through everything. And they were all being paid to watch him, to control him, to keep him in line. But there was one name that wasn't on the list, one name Elvis had always trusted completely: Charlie Hodge, his oldest friend. Nothing next Charlie's name. That gave Elvis a tiny spark of hope. At least one person around him was clean.
But the worst discovery was still to come, because at the bottom of that ledger, Elvis found entries from just last month, and what they revealed would prove that Colonel wasn't just planning for his death, he was actively causing it. Elvis flipped to the most recent pages of the ledger, July 1973, this month. These entries were fresh. July 1, Dr. Nick, increased dosage authorization. EP complaining of fatigue but must perform. Approved higher stimulant levels despite protests. $2,000 bonus for compliance. July 5, Dr. Nick, EP showing signs of cardiac stress, advised dosage reduction. Overruled. Performance schedule cannot be compromised. Reminded DN of contractual obligations and alternative employment if non-cooperative.
July 10, EP weight gain and lethargy concerning from PR standpoint, but beneficial for health narrative. Pills maintaining functionality, projected timeline still on track. July 12, life insurance rider executed, death benefit now $50 million, all beneficiary structures confirmed, estate planning solidified, documentation secured in dressing room safe, combination, birth date plus death date projection. Elvis's hands went numb. The ledger fell from his fingers onto the carpet. Death date projection. 77. Not a random number, not just part of the combination. Colonel was projecting that Elvis would die in 1977, 4 years from now, when Elvis would be 42 years old. Exactly what that memo from 1957 had said. Peak value at 42. Colonel wasn't just exploiting him. Colonel was killing him, slowly, methodically, with medications and stress and controlled deterioration. And Elvis had been cooperating, taking the pills, trusting Dr. Nick, believing it was all necessary. He'd been signing his own death warrant, one prescription at a time. Elvis sat on the floor of his dressing room, surrounded by evidence of his own murder in progress, and for the first time in years, his mind was completely clear. The shock, the betrayal, the horror, it all burned away the fog the pills usually created. He had 4 years, maybe less if Colonel decided to accelerate the timeline. 4 years to live if he did nothing. Or he could fight back. Elvis gathered all the documents, put them back in the folder, and made a decision. He wasn't going to confront Colonel, not yet, not directly, because Colonel had too much power, too many people on his payroll, too many ways to destroy anyone who threatened him. But Elvis had something Colonel didn't expect him to have. Evidence, real, documented, written in Colonel's own hand evidence, and Elvis knew exactly what to do with it.
What Elvis did in the next 72 hours would set off a chain of events that would either save his life or end it immediately. Because once Colonel realized what Elvis had discovered, there would be no going back. Elvis left the International Hotel at 4 a.m., carrying the folder in a gym bag. He didn't tell his security, didn't tell the Memphis Mafia, just walked out through the service entrance and got into a taxi. "Where to?" the driver asked. "The airport." Elvis flew to Memphis on the first flight out, arrived at Graceland by noon, and went straight to his bedroom. He didn't sleep, couldn't sleep. His mind was racing with plans. First, he called his ex-wife. Priscilla answered on the third ring. "Elvis? It's the middle of the day. Shouldn't you be in Vegas?" "I left. Priscilla, I need your help. I found something. Evidence. He's been planning to kill me for years. I have documents. I have proof." Silence on the line. Then, "Where are you?" "Graceland." "I'm coming. Don't talk to anyone until I get there." Next, Elvis called his cousin, Billy Smith. Billy was one of the few people who worked at Graceland that wasn't on Colonel's payroll. Elvis had checked the ledger 3 times to be sure. "Billy, I need you to do something for me, and you can't tell anyone. Not Joe, not Red, not anyone." "What's going on, boss?" "I need you to install a safe in my bedroom, today, before anyone else knows about it. Can you do that?" "Yeah, I know a guy. But Elvis, what's this about?" "I'll explain when you get here. Just, please, this is life or death." Billy arrived 2 hours later with a locksmith who didn't ask questions. They installed a floor safe in Elvis's closet, hidden under a loose floorboard. Elvis gave Billy the combination, his mother's birthday, and made him promise never to tell anyone it existed. When Priscilla arrived that evening, Elvis showed him everything.
The contract, the memo, the ledger, the insurance policies. She read through it all in silence, her face getting paler with each page. "We need to go to the police," she finally said. "No. Colonel has connections everywhere. Memphis police, Vegas police, judges, prosecutors. If we go through normal channels, he'll know before we can build a case. And then—" Elvis didn't finish the sentence. "Then what do? We build our own case, secretly, document everything, find more evidence, and then we take it federal. FBI. Someone Colonel can't control." "How long will that take?" "I don't know. Months, maybe. But I have to be smart about this. If Colonel suspects I know, he'll accelerate whatever he's planning. I have to keep pretending everything is normal while I gather more evidence." Priscilla looked at him with something like respect. "You've changed. You're thinking clearly." "I stopped taking the pills," said Elvis quietly. "The ones Dr. Nick gives me. I've been flushing them for the past 2 days. My head is clearing up. I can think again. And you know what's crazy? I feel worse, shaky, nauseous, anxious, but I can think. For the first time in years, I can actually think." "You're going through withdrawal," said Priscilla. "The pills were—" "Elvis, were you addicted?" "I was being addicted, deliberately, by Colonel and Dr. Nick. Keep me dependent, keep me controlled, keep me dying slowly enough that it looks natural when it happens." Elvis spent the next 2 days in Graceland, hidden from everyone except Priscilla and Billy. He went through every document in that folder, photographing each page with a Polaroid camera, creating backups, creating evidence. On the 3rd day, he got a call from Colonel. "Elvis, where the hell are you? You missed last night's show. The hotel is threatening to sue. You need to get back to Vegas immediately." Elvis took a deep breath. Time to perform the role of his life. "Colonel, I'm sorry. I had a breakdown. The pressure got to me. I needed to come home, clear my head." "A breakdown? Elvis, you can't just walk away from a contract. Do you have any idea how much money you're costing us?" "I know. I'm sorry. I'll come back. I just need a few more days." "You have until tomorrow night. If you're not on that stage, we're finished. Do you understand?" "I understand." Elvis hung up and looked at Priscilla. "He bought it. He thinks I'm just having another emotional episode. He doesn't know I found the safe." "Are you really going back?" "I have to. If I run, he'll know something's wrong. I have to go back and keep performing while we build the case." "Elvis, that's dangerous. If he realizes you know—" "He won't. I'm a performer, remember? I've been playing a role my whole career. I can play this one too."
But Elvis underestimated how closely Colonel was watching him. Because the moment Elvis returned to Las Vegas, Colonel made a move that would force everything into the open faster than anyone expected. Elvis flew back to Vegas the next evening and went straight to the International Hotel. He avoided his dressing room, couldn't bear to look at that safe again, knowing what it represented. Instead, he got ready in his suite and went directly to the stage. The performance was strange. Elvis sang all his hits, moved through all his choreography, smiled at all the right moments. But inside, he was watching everyone, wondering who was reporting to Colonel, wondering who was complicit in his slow murder. Joe Esposito stood in the wings managing the backstage crew. Was he thinking about his $2,000 a month? Red West was by the stage door watching for fans who got too close. Was he earning his $1,000? After the show, Elvis went back to his suite. He was exhausted. Withdrawal from the pills was hitting hard, and performing without chemical assistance was almost impossible, but he had to push through. There was a knock at his door.
Elvis opened it to find Dr. Nick standing there, medical bag in hand. "Elvis, Colonel asked me to check on you. He said you've been having some kind of breakdown. I brought your medications." "I'm fine, Dr. Nick. Just needed a break." "Well, let me examine you anyway. Make sure everything's okay." Dr. Nick came into the room uninvited and set his bag on the coffee table. "You've been off your medications for a few days, haven't you?" Elvis froze. "How did you know that?" "I can tell. The way you're moving, the way you look. You're in withdrawal. Elvis, you can't just stop these medications cold turkey. It's dangerous." "More dangerous than staying on them?" Elvis shot back before he could stop himself. Dr. Nick's expression changed. Something flickered in his eyes. Guilt, maybe, or fear. "What do you mean?" "Nothing. I'm just tired." "Elvis, these medications are for your health, to manage your blood pressure, your anxiety, your pain. You need them." "Do I? Or does Colonel need me to take them?" The words hung in the air. Dr. Nick's face went pale. "I don't know what you're talking about," he said quietly, "but I think you should rest. You're not thinking clearly." After Dr. Nick left, Elvis realized his mistake. He'd tipped his hand, revealed that he knew something, and Dr. Nick would report back to Colonel within the hour. Sure enough, 30 minutes later there was another knock. This time it was the Colonel himself, cigar in hand, walking into the suite like he owned it. "Elvis, we need to talk." Elvis's heart hammered, but he kept his face neutral. "About what?" "Because whatever's going on with you, you disappear for 3 days, you come back and refuse your medications, you're acting paranoid. Dr. Nick is concerned. I'm concerned. Are you having some kind of mental health crisis?" "No, Colonel, I'm fine, just stressed." "Because if you are having problems, we can get you help. There are facilities." "I don't need a facility. Where you can rest and recover in private, away from the press, away from all this pressure." Elvis understood immediately. Colonel was threatening to have him committed, declared mentally incompetent. If that happened, Colonel would have complete legal control, could make all decisions on Elvis's behalf, could even authorize treatments or medications without Elvis's consent. It was the perfect trap. If Elvis fought back too openly, Colonel would have him institutionalized, and once that happened, Elvis would never get out. "I appreciate your concern," Elvis said carefully, "but I'm okay. Just needed a few days at home. I'm ready to work now." Colonel studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Good, because we have 3 more weeks of shows. And Elvis, I'd hate to see your career end because of a mental breakdown. That's not the legacy you want, is it?" The threat was clear: cooperate or be destroyed. After Colonel left, Elvis sat in his suite and realized he was out of time. He couldn't wait months to build a case. Colonel was suspicious. Dr. Nick was suspicious. The walls were closing in. He needed to act now.
Elvis made a phone call that would change everything. But what he set in motion would put everyone he loved in danger and force him into the most dangerous performance of his career. Elvis called Priscilla from a payphone in the hotel lobby. He didn't trust his suite phone anymore. "It's me. Listen carefully. Things are moving faster than I thought. I need you to take what I gave you, all the documents, all the photos, and drive to Los Angeles tonight. There's an FBI field office there. Special Agent Thomas Morrison. I've been researching him. He's with the Organized Crime Division. He's clean, not connected to Colonel. Give him everything." "Elvis, what's happening?" "Colonel knows something's wrong. He threatened to have me committed. If I don't move now, I might not get another chance. Can you do this?" "Yes, but what about you?"
I'm going to keep performing, keep pretending everything's normal, buy you time to get that evidence to the FBI. Once they have it, Colonel can't touch me. Even if he tries to have me committed, the FBI will know it's retaliation. This is insane. I know, but it's the only play we have. Priscilla drove through the night to Los Angeles. At 8 a.m., she walked into the FBI field office and asked for Special Agent Morrison. When he came to the lobby, she handed him the folder. My name is Priscilla Presley. This is evidence that my ex-husband, Elvis Presley, is being systematically defrauded, controlled, and potentially murdered by his manager, Colonel Tom Parker. I need your help. Morrison took the folder to a conference room and spent 2 hours reviewing every document. When he came back out, his expression was grim. Mrs. Presley, if this is authentic, and I have no reason to doubt it is, we're looking at conspiracy, fraud, embezzlement, and potentially conspiracy to commit murder. This is serious federal crime. Can you help him? We'll open an investigation immediately, but, Mrs. Presley, you need to understand something. If Colonel Parker realizes we're investigating him, your ex-husband could be in immediate danger. We need to move carefully, but quickly. How quickly? Give us 48 hours. We'll get warrants, coordinate with other agencies, build a team, and then we'll move. In the meantime, can you get word to Elvis? Tell him to be careful, very careful, and tell him not to take any medications, nothing, not until we can secure his safety. Priscilla called Elvis from a payphone. They're moving. 48 hours. They said don't take anything. Don't eat anything you haven't prepared yourself. Elvis, they think Colonel might try to kill you before the FBI can arrest him. Elvis looked at the room service tray that had just arrived. Suddenly, every piece of food looked suspicious. I understand, he said quietly. Priscilla, thank you for believing me, for helping me. Just stay alive until they get there.